Hi everyone. I guess you can see that the name of the channel has changed. I thought it was time. I will no longer be running on the cat Bigfoot saw me to heading. I think this one is probably more appropriate. Just an update on how things are going here. We are preparing for what's coming. A lot has happened over the last year. It's been quite an amazing journey. And I appreciate all of you that have come along with me and listened to my story and listened to what was going on here. But there was a lot of stuff going on here. When this all started out, I was a once in a while Christian, for lack of a better way to describe it. It wasn't high on my priority list. I believed in God. I'd been baptized, but I don't believe it really stuck. I was going through the motions. And the things that happened here were by design. It's come to me since then. This was all a test of my faith. And I had a choice that I was presented to put more faith and stock in a cryptid reality or in God's way, in Jesus Christ's way. Things had started out just like anybody else that was having a cryptid experience. I went from trying to prove they were here to being scared out of my wits to finding out my neighbors were having similar experiences and were just as afraid as I was of what was lurking in the dark. And coming to the realization that as a human being, I can deal with the supernatural or preternatural without some divine help. And if you followed me from the beginning, you probably could tell from the tone that I took. At first, I was just excited about what I was hearing, what I was finding. Then I became concerned. Then I began to invoke God's name in dealing with it and asking for His assistance. And by the time that I had come to the conclusion something evil was lurking in the dark, I'd also come to the conclusion that I really needed His help. And then something happened to me. I received His grace, His strength, His power to deal with all this. And from that, I received my belief that through Him, all things could happen. and all evil could be driven off. And that's exactly what happened here. He removed the torments that were going on here to my neighbors, to my dog, to myself. And believe it or not, those people that we were having problems with, the druggies, there was 2 sets of them, one on either side of the house in different directions, opposite directions. When I finally made that commitment to my faith, repented of my sins, accepted Jesus into my life, begged him for his assistance in ridding this neighborhood of evil, he didn't just stop with what was lurking in the shadows in the gully. He also removed both sets, both households of druggies within 6 weeks. They're gone. Their properties are up for sale, and they have vacated, which was a great relief, not only for myself but also for the neighbors, because there was a lot of bad things going on that is associated with that lifestyle. My faith came to me in the month of January. COVID had already come into the news. And since then, we've endured lockdowns, forced masking, churches have been closed, schools have been closed, businesses have been closed, lives have been disrupted. And people have learned that what they've trusted in life can't be trusted. Because unless they're looking to God, who's solid, who's consistent, who's forever watching over us, they have nothing to base themselves with and ground themselves with and stand with and be protected from evil by. And then the riots came. And good lives were hurt by the evil that came with that. I want to tell you that as a child, I had what was considered premonitions. I grew up with that. But never in my wildest dreams did I think that those premonitions were from God necessarily. I just thought that it was like a curse that I was born with, because it alienated me from my family. It alienated me from my acquaintance slash friends over the years. But I came to find out too that they were from God, that He's always been there with me, always been there trying to guide me, always been there trying to forewarn me so that I could prepare, so that I could be safe, so that I could keep my family safe. And I never knew the source of it. And granted, He doesn't reveal to me all things. But He reveals to me some things that He wants me to know. And He's been giving me messages now since I found Him. And that's what this is really all about. Starting in January, I started receiving messages. Sometimes in the form of dreams, and sometimes what I would call waking messages, that I'm told what's going to happen. I'm told what's to look forward to, what's coming. And my friends, I'm not getting good messages for the future. It started out with a dream. And in my dream, I was visited by Michael the Archangel. And he looked battle-worn and weary. And he said to me, "Are you ready?" And it was amazing because I knew who it was. He didn't have to tell me who he was. I knew that this was Michael. And this was in January. And I didn't know what he meant. The next dream that I had, I saw big sacks of flour, like 50-pound sacks of flours being taken into the kitchens of schools and the kitchens of churches. And I thought, they must be preparing to feed a lot of people. The government's going to help. And I was told no. That these sacks of flour were not being used to do anything more than placate. They were appearance only. But they were really bombs that were going to disrupt everyone's life. And shortly after that, they closed the schools. They closed the churches. The next dream I had, I heard a voice. I saw nothing, but the voice said 3 times to me, "The great deception has begun." Again, this was the first part of February. I had no idea what it meant. And now I think we're beginning to see that. But that's a starting point. I was told then that whatever plans that we aren't to be made aware of were set in motion. I had other dreams where I was told that the women and children should get into the ark. I think it's to the fathers, the husbands, the household heads to start thinking seriously about guiding your family to safety in the Lord. I was shown scrapers that were used by slaves in the Roman days. I saw a dozen of them. They were all different shapes and sizes. The scrapers were used to scrape the skin from the oils and the dirt that was on the Roman citizens. And again, at that time, I did not understand, but it's come to me since then that those 12 scrapers represent the 12 tribes of Israel. And then once again, they're going to become slaves to the system and need deliverance. Another one I had was squash and harvest. It seems that the voice again showed me nothing in my dream, but just said, squash and harvest. Later on that day, I was led to a video, and in that video, it described how faith could be. Whether you're soft in the faith and have a short time in it, like me, comparing that to an oak tree. Someone that's had a long time in the faith and someone who is standing tall. And I thought, how amazing that this video showed up right after I had dreamt that. And I wanted to be the oak. The next 2 dreams that came concerned meteors that we were going to be hit by meteors, and that it would cause disruption to the water system, the water supply would be fouled because of it. Biblically, it's called wormwood, which bitters the water and fouls it so it makes it unpalatable. We had put in rain barrels. Again, this had been given to me a year ago to do. And in the second dream, I received the message that the rain barrels would be okay with the wormwood. They would not be tainted by it. That was mid-May, those two dreams came. In the next dream that I had, I was shown a red pill, a blue pill, and the Bible. And I asked, does this mean that the Bible lies? And I received back immediately an answer, and it was no. That people lie to themselves about what the Bible says. Be careful who you follow and put your faith in. Trust in the Lord to guide you with discernment and not man. The next one I saw in the form of a dream was I was shown the earth. And then I was shown the earth contorted, stretched, like almost shaped like a football at the poles. And it looked like it was going to explode. And my thought was in the dream, it's going to explode. The world's going to explode. And I was told again by visually that the earth was back in its normal shape, that no, it's not going to explode. But then the earth went dark. There was no lights anywhere. The earth was totally dark. And that darkness is going to happen as a warning. And it's going to be his last warning. His judgment will come shortly after. And it's going to be horrific during those 3 days that this darkness is on the earth. And unless you're gathered in prayer, anything could happen to you. I saw people being killed that were caught outside or that became terrified and decided to go outside of their homes, where they didn't have the faith that they needed to sustain them through that time frame. I was given the impression that there were going to come to us more plagues. There were more extreme that would kill a lot of people after that. And that some would resort to cannibalism because of the food shortages, that there would be a great famine across the world. I saw bodies hanging from trees, field dressed like deer. It was a horrific dream. The very last time I had a dream, I saw, again, I knew it was Jesus, just like I knew it was Michael in my first one. And he was standing on the other side of shadows. I could see his outline, not see his face. He didn't say a word. But I was left with the impression that he is there watching us through this veil of evil that is draping over the world now and humanity. That he sees all, that he knows all, and that he is watching over his flock. And it was peaceful. It was a peaceful dream. I'd like to tell you that impression-wise, I believe that we're going to face civil wars and more rioting, and this is going to break out before the election or at that time. I do not think we're going to see another president be elected. I do not think that there will be an election this year based on what impressions I was given. And that the very last impression that I was given was that it came to me just a couple of days ago. I'm sitting on the back porch in 100 degrees sweltering heat and thinking how hot it was, how horribly hot it was. And I was told, prepare for the worst cold you have ever experienced. More extreme than anything you have experienced. And I'm thinking, you know, I grew up in the North. I lived in one of the most northern states that we have, and went through some pretty harsh weather conditions and extremes of weather. I mean, we're talking 20, 25 degrees, 30 degrees below zero. And I thought at the time, worse than that, and I was told yes. And I was told that there was going to be severe weather disruptions. And this situation, it would last a long time. It would be similar to what we call a nuclear winter, and to prepare for it. And so now I'm passing all of this information on to you. Take it as you will. Discount me as being raving mad. I don't care. I'm giving you this information out of love and to try to save you from what's coming. And to try to encourage you to find God. Find Jesus. not the little gods, not the New Age gods, not the religion that says nothing bad is going to happen. To find Jesus himself and develop a relationship with him personally. No church that has a brick and mortar foundation can save you. No orthodoxy can save you. Only he can save you. Only faith in him. Only through his act of dying on the cross and believing in that and believing that he died for your sins is going to, in the long run, save you. I won't be posting anymore. This will be my last one. If you find what I've said to be of some purpose to you, then act on it. Share it with whoever will listen. Because these things are going to happen. And as I said in the beginning of this, we're preparing for what's coming. And this will be my last act publicly of trying to convince anyone that they need to put aside the cryptids in their lives and turn back to Jesus. Because those cryptids are actually going to be used against you when the devil's unleashed on the earth. And those days are coming soon. Biblically, we have less than 10 years left on the timeline. I'm sure that the AC is already here somewhere walking along around us. He's just being hidden from sight for right now. Pray. Find your faith. Stand firm in your faith when you do. Have it. Gather it to you. Guard it with your life, because your life depends on it. Help people around you. Love the people around you. And love him. God bless you all. I pray that Jesus Christ meet your needs and grant you mercy.